Hi.
Hello.
Hello. How is going the festival?
It's so good. You guys know I love this festival more than any of the other ones. It's just so good. You guys do such an incredible job of bringing wonderful women together. All the guests that you have here, it is just such an absolute pleasure to simply just sit and talk to them. They're very, very smart, kind, beautiful women.
Do you think this kind of festival are necessary? Sorry, to improve the visibility to the
For
LGBT?
sure. I think anybody, this is what I always say to everybody, is that you all have a voice and it all should be used. I think that in particular, when you come together as a mass, I think it creates volume. People listen. The more people you get involved, the more people you get behind a hashtag or a movement or a discussion, the more power and the more momentum that it has.
You talk about social medias.
Yes.
What do you think about the social media?
So, I have very mixed thoughts on social media. I think that in some ways it can be very wonderful in that it brings like-minded people together. And I see time and time again how people will tell me stories where it's like, I met my girlfriend on social media or I met my best friend. And I think that that is so special, particularly for some people because they may, in their everyday community, whether it's at school or work, they may at times feel like an outcast or like they don't quite belong. And I think that social media creates platforms where people can come together and unite over something that they share in common. And I think that that's beautiful. At the same time, though, social media can be nasty. And I see it happen a lot the show in The 100, in the show that I was on. I see people be really, really mean when, like, ship wars get involved. And, there's just straight up bullying. Like, I've seen people get told, go kill yourself. And it's like, what are we doing? It comes down to that simple base level thing where it's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And if we were to wipe out that whole aspect of social media, I think it would just be the most wonderful place.
Talk a little bit about your character in The 100.
I'm sorry, I was the bad guy. She was also, I think, I've always said I think that if she had had a different upbringing, she would have been very different. The one glimpse we got into her childhood was her talking about the Queen, and we knew the Queen, she wasn't nice to her. She was taken from her parents, from her real family, and was raised simply to be a fighter and to be the next commander. That's all her life was. And I can't imagine having one purpose in your life and that's all that you are good for, and you're simply just being almost used in order to benefit your people. And so had she not had that kind of upbringing, I think she could have been a much just better person. I don't see why. It raises a valid discussion where it's like that nature versus nurture, and that how you are raised, unless you decide to be like, no, like I don't agree with how I was raised, or maybe necessarily what my family stands for. You can grow up to a point and go, no, I'm going to go a separate way. But for the most part, when you're still young, you are just like you're so engrossed in your family life, you don't know that there's anything different.
And do you think the women's characters are changing in the industry right now?
I think they're getting better. And the example that I have been using this weekend is looking at, for example, Men in Black. I knew nothing about the filming of that. And when I saw the ad, I was like, fuck yeah. Like, there's one of them's a woman and she's a person of color, which I think is so wonderful. I do think that, I think people are less likely these days to go and watch a film where the cast is entirely male. I think that would, and rightfully so, people would be like, I don't want to watch that. I want to see a woman, and I want to see a strong woman. And hopefully, with every year that passes, we are moving further and further in that direction.
And what about the LGBT characters? What do you think?
That we're still working on, aren't we? God. It's slowly getting better. But then every time I hear that it's getting better, I hear stories where it's just not. Like, people are not learning from the past. They're not learning from it and bettering themselves. I know now that there's perhaps more representation. I know that maybe that's happening. However, I don't know if that representation is necessarily accurate yet. And that maybe we're seeing more of like how there used to be perhaps like a token person of color. Maybe now the gay community is simply being used as a token, like to tick a box, to be like, okay, we did it, we have a gay character, but they're not giving them substance, which is obviously still being given to the straight characters. So I think that now there's more representation. However, I think we still need to work on making it accurate.
That's all. If you
They're
want
scary
to,
questions. Like sweating.
if you want to say something to your fans here.
I love you. Okay. I love you guys so very, very much. And I'm so grateful for every single one of you that comes to these conventions. You know, I was thinking about today when I was on the panel, I was like, I would never have the balls to get up in front of anyone and stand on the mic and ask a question. Like you guys, that you do that and you prepare your questions and you're so kind to us and you're all just so thoughtful, and you truly blow me away every time I meet every single one of you. So thank you.